I think
Mhm.
he actually had the model minority stigma attached to him, and he felt awkward trying to live up to it. I think was what I got from that. But his father, as far as the stereotype about Asian men being docile, and I mean, he was abusive. His father was abusive, right?
Um, well, definitely the woman who was also being interviewed in that
Okay.
piece. Yeah, yeah. So you said a man who was kind of had yeah. So there were stories of abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing in this last film. They talked about the father being abusive, and so that kind of breaks down that stereotype. It's different from the stereotype that they have for Asian American men, as far as not being very aggressive and not avoiding conflict, and that's obviously not the case in family situations necessarily.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's one stereotype.
So sometimes stereotypes almost cause people to not realize the real social problems that exist in communities because they will just say, "Oh, they're just this thing," and we don't have to think about them too much, right? And they'll do fine. They'll be the model minorities, but clearly there are a lot of social issues that a lot of these people in these documentaries are grappling with. Yeah, great contribution. Yeah. Um,
And one thing other I just wanted to say is that it definitely blurred the social lines between race or ethnicity rather in America. Especially in the last film, you saw how these three young men, um, of course, they were different, each of them having their own identity and personality. They still had a lot of commonalities between them, you know.
yeah,
And I found that to be very interesting too. So
yeah. I thought, yeah, I agree. And yeah, that the filmmaker covers, the stories of his two friends and himself, and he is Chinese American, but his friend is white, and his other friend is black, and they all live in the same uh, town that seems to report high incidences of domestic violence, right? And there is um, I think there's some mention of just issues with economic depression in that in that place. So it doesn't matter what background you are, you'll probably be affected by that if you lived in that town. So yeah, that's a great point. I appreciate that too. That the last film, Minding the Gap, is it's not just an Asian American film. In fact, I was struggling to even decide whether to show this to you because I was like, is it enough of an Asian American film? I don't really know. um, so yeah, um, and also I think in Who Killed Vincent Chin, it's a place in Detroit, and you can clearly see that um, it is a black and white community, and with also a Chinese community as well, and that again they all are struggling with these uh, with issues around work and stuff, but certain but definitely race plays a huge factor in Who Killed Vincent Chin, and it and eh, you know Asians, and in that case, were being scapegoated for the decline of the audio industry, and and you can clearly see that you have these angry white people, even if they took great care not to mention that on record and say that, oh, it was just because it was just manslaughter. It wasn't racial, but um, but the fact that it was so lenient is incredibly suspicious. Yeah, and Jaden, you said that the incident where Chin's that reminds me of current hate crimes occurring because of COVID-19. Yeah, the idea of being scapegoated a little, yeah, totally. and the fact that it's that the reporting of the hate crimes and then the actual uh the actual litigate like the actual judging of hate crimes is a it can a complicated process that can be wielded politically. Yeah. um what did you guys think about the blind character, or the blind person in the second movie, and him being a adoptee? So what did you think of the adoption story in Knock? Uh, we haven't really talked about adoption and transnational adoption, and yet that is a major issue in Asian American studies. There are huge populations of Korean adoptees, of Chinese adoptees, of Vietnamese and other Southeast Asian adoptees, and many of them are the results of war or really untenable situations in their home countries. In China, it might have been the one-child policy, where you saw the past 30 years, you have a generation of girls, Chinese American women, who are adoptees. Yeah, what did the story of adoption bring up to you guys? That particular guy's experience. Anybody? Well, I'll put that down as a question for you guys. Well, so these were all documentaries. These were all documentaries. How do documentaries differ from fictional film? Uh, what kind? What is the what is the difference in the purpose of a documentary versus a fictional film?
I don't think documentaries aren't meant to necessarily be entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas even a fictional film, even though it might be a true story, is still structured to entertain.
Yeah, good
Um,
point.
so I think that's one thing about documentary. Although they can be
They can be entertaining, right? And sometimes it's helpful to be entertaining. Yeah, that's a good point. That's something that I always like to teach people with regard to media, is like the first baseline question is this media telling you about the world, or is it entertaining you? Yeah. Um, and so I kind of chose documentaries for a particular reason. I thought we had talked enough about stereotypes in our class, so I decided instead I would show you guys some documentaries that really spoke to some real issues. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts? So I have a fun question for you guys. Um, so the reading talk about how uh, media can also be a tool for um, kind of it can be two things. It can be a tool for talking about minorities, and it can be a tool for critiquing how mainstream society views minorities. And right now we're in an interesting time, a digital age, a time of new media, a time of social media, and you have many. Uh, this changes a lot of things. One thing it might be, oh, you might think that more people get to talk, to show their voice. More people get to be, YouTubers or influencers, right? Um, it might be the case you might have more advertising directed towards Asians in a different way than it used to be. What are what are the positives and negatives of the media world we live in today? Anybody have any answers to that?
I just want to say that, as mentioned in the book, in the readings, one positive, which can also be negative, but the internet, it highlighted the aspect of how Asian Americans are using the internet to express their own identity. Like they're more empowered on the internet to create their own, I guess, ethnic centric media,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to other, like television and other traditional media, which tends to exclude them or enhance the stereotype image. So the internet, I think, has been beneficial, a positive.
Yeah, so you can literally anyone can pick up the camera, turn it on them, and talk about their experiences, right? Yeah. Uh, and so that's one thing I thought might be fun. I'm going to put that on as a discussion prompt, but you guys can maybe think about the media that you guys consume, whether it's on TV or it's online in social network platforms like Facebook or even YouTube. Do you guys know any Asian American media makers? Um, One group was that used to be pretty popular were the Fung Brothers. Does anybody know the Fung Brothers? Well, yeah, um, you, I want to encourage you guys to put that up, to share links to social media, to maybe Asian American social media influencers, and I want you to analyze them. I would like you to give some analysis of how they use media, and yeah, so I think that might be fun for you guys. Um, well, I hope this screening wasn't too sad and depressing. Um, and I know that we really live in a confusing enough time right now. So, but I thought I would have preferred showing you guys this stuff than maybe Crazy Rich Asians or something like that. So yeah, any last thoughts before I kind of bid you farewell for spring break?
Well, I want to thank you, Professor, for all that you're doing and keeping the class going and the content that you're sharing and the information and knowledge that you're sharing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, that means a lot. That's great to know that it's having an effect. And yeah, thank you, Tanya, for going on this journey too. Um, so next week we're going to be talking about identity. Oh, sorry, 2 weeks from now, two things: we're going to talk about identity and transnationalism. So you'll see those readings up, and if you want, you can share some interesting uh, social media that's created by Asian Americans, some links. It might be also a good way for you to start to think about how you could turn your oral history project or a different subject into a piece of media that you might be able to share. Yeah. Um, and can I ask, just by random, does anybody feel like they are a content creator, like they participate in social media and put up things, memes, or even maybe have a YouTube channel? Yeah. Well, I think, it's not, I think there's so much out there. It's almost too much, right? And and like Danny was saying, and Schaffner was also saying, and Anya was also saying, it's just like there's just it's almost as if media is the main is way too powerful and has too much media. Oh, yeah, Danny, you make some memes? Hey, that I would love to see some. So yeah, yeah. I can, yeah. I mean, hey, at least you're making content, Danny. I think a lot of us are just consumers. I'm a consumer. I don't really make that much media ever. So that hey, it's a great way to get your voice out, right? Okay. uh, um, okay, well, in that case, I'll let you guys go. Well, thank you so much for coming to class today, and I'll see you guys 2 weeks from now. So that is I have it somewhere. That we're back on the 17th, 4/17.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank
Bye.
Okay,
you. Bye bye.
thanks, guys. Bye. All right.